Can you come get me, please?
I'm on my way.
Linda Smith sat on a concrete parking barrier outside the Grandview estate, mascara streaking her brown cheeks in rivers of black and silver. String lights glowed through the venue's floor-to-ceiling windows, and laughter, her sister's laughter, her mother's laughter, everyone's laughter but hers, echoed faintly into the humid Houston night. Her emerald bridesmaid dress dug into her ribs. Of course it did. Rochelle had ordered it 2 sizes too small, as motivation. The seams had been straining all day, a constant physical reminder that she didn't fit. Not in the dress, not in the family photos, not anywhere that mattered. Inside, the reception pulsed with joy she wasn't allowed to share. Linda stared at her phone, at a contact name that had become her lifeline over the past 6 months, BS. Her thumb hovered over the call button. Pride warred with desperation, with the bone-deep exhaustion of trying to earn love from people who only saw her as useful when she was serving them. She pressed call. 1 ring. Linda. His voice, deep, accented, concerned, cut through her spiraling thoughts like a blade through silk. Bong So, her voice cracked, broke on his name.
Can you
come get me?
Get me, please?
Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Then low and dangerous. I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
No questions. No hesitation. Just absolute certainty, the kind she'd never had from anyone else in her life. She hung up and stared at the stars barely visible through Houston's light pollution, wondering how she'd become so small in a family that should have made her feel infinite. To understand how Linda Smith, a pastry chef whose desserts made grown men weep and whose laugh could fill a room, ended up crying alone while her family celebrated without her, we need to go back 6 months. 6 months earlier, the brass bell above Sugar and Grace's door chimed, and Linda looked up from arranging lavender macarons in the display case. The man who entered moved like water, smooth, deliberate, dangerous in a way she couldn't quite name. He wore an expensive black suit, tailored so perfectly it might as well have been painted on, and his sharp cheekbones and dark eyes that missed nothing made her breath catch. Behind him, a second man, shorter, broader, expressionless, took position by the door like a statue. Linda Smith? The first man's English was precise, faintly accented. That's me. You must be Mr. Bong. Just Bong So. He approached the counter, studying the display cases with an intensity that made her stand straighter. These are beautiful. Linda relaxed slightly. She could talk about her work. Thank you. What kind of event are you planning? He pulled a leather portfolio from his jacket and slid it across the counter. I want to see what you can do. Your portfolio is impressive, but I want to see you work. Linda blinked. I don't usually offer demonstrations for consultations. I'm not a usual client. His gaze held hers, intense, assessing, but not unkind, not judging, just seeing. Name your price. Something about his stillness, his complete focus, made her feel truly seen for the first time in longer than she could remember. Not diminished, not invisible. Seen. 2,000 for a private demonstration. Done. 3 days later, Linda worked in Sugar and Grace's kitchen after hours, while Bong So watched from a stool, silent except for occasional questions. His assistant Chol remained by the door, a silent sentinel. She made patachoux, her hands steady and sure. The familiar movements calmed her, measuring, mixing, piping. She talked while she worked about flavor profiles, structural integrity, the difference between French and Italian buttercream. You love this, Bong So observed. Of course I do. It's mine. She piped cream puffs with practiced precision, each one identical to the last. No one can take it from me or tell me I'm doing it wrong. Your family doesn't support your work? Her hand stilled for a fraction of a second before resuming their rhythm. They think I should have been a nurse, or a teacher, something respectable. Not this. They're fools. She looked up sharply. His expression was serious, almost angry on her behalf. The protectiveness in his dark eyes made her chest tight. You don't know them. I know they make you doubt yourself, I can see it. He stood, approaching the counter with that predatory grace. May I? She nodded. He tasted a cream puff, and something shifted in his expression. Surprise melting into pleasure, into something deeper. This is extraordinary. He studied her face like she was art. You're extraordinary. Linda's heart hammered. No one talked to her like this. Like she was valuable. Like she mattered beyond what she could provide. Why do you really want to hire me, Mr. Bong? Because I want the best. His gaze didn't waver. And because I want an excuse to see you again. The air between them crackled with possibility, with something dangerous and magnetic that made her want to step closer instead of away. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed on the counter. Mom, Rochelle needs to discuss wedding desserts. Free labor, family discount expected. Linda's expression shuddered like clouds covering the sun. Bongso noticed everything. Family emergency? Just obligations. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a business card. On the back, he wrote a number in precise handwriting. My personal line. If you ever need anything, a client, a reference, or just someone to listen, call me. Why would you? Because someone should. He headed for the door, then paused, turning back. Linda, you deserve more than scraps from people who should treasure you. He left. Linda stared at the card, something warm and terrifying blooming in her chest like sugar dissolving in hot cream. 3 months later, Linda's mother, Claudette, picked at grilled salmon while Linda served homemade dinner rolls she'd baked that morning. Her father, Vernon, scrolled through his phone without looking up. Sisters Rochelle, the bride-to-be at 26, and Dominique, a 23-year-old Instagram influencer, compared engagement rings under the dining room chandelier. Linda, we need to discuss your rent, Vernon said without looking up from his screen. My rent? Linda set down the basket of rolls. I pay $900 a month to stay in the guest room. Market rate is $1,200 now. We're raising it. Dad, I'm saving for a down payment on... Maybe if you spent less on plus-size boutique clothes and more on a gym membership, you'd be settled like Rochelle. Claudette cut in, her voice sharp as a paring knife. Rochelle smirked. Dominique didn't look up from her phone, but her lips curved in a cruel smile. Linda's appetite vanished. I make good money. I have my own business. A bakery, Vernon said dismissively, finally looking at her with disappointment in his eyes. Not a career. It's a successful bakery. I had $140,000 in revenue last year. And how much did you keep after expenses? Claudette's eyebrow arched. Meanwhile, Rochelle landed an engineer. Linda's jaw tightened. She wanted to leave, to walk out and never come back. But where would she go with Houston rent prices climbing every month and her savings depleted from helping pay for Dominique's car repairs? Vernon's medical bills, the endless stream of family emergencies that were always her responsibility. I'll pay the increase, she whispered. Claudette smiled, satisfied. Good. Oh, and about the wedding cake. We'd like you to make Rochelle's wedding cake, Claudette announced 10 minutes later. 5 tiers, serves 250. We've seen your work, that gold leaf thing you do. Linda's heart sank into her stomach. Mom, that would cost $3,500 minimum. The labor alone. We're family, Rochelle said, finally looking directly at her. You can't charge us full price. I'm not charging you full price. I'm charging cost of materials, my time and skill. Are you seriously trying to profit off your sister's wedding? Dominique finally joined in, eyes wide with performed shock perfect for her Instagram stories. Vernon's expression hardened. Linda, family helps family. I do help. I pay rent. I paid for Dominique's car insurance for 6 months. I covered your medications when insurance denied. This is different, Claudette interrupted. This is Rochelle's special day. You want to be the reason it's ruined? The guilt landed like a physical blow, practiced and precise after 28 years. Linda had spent her entire life trying to earn their love, trying to be good enough, small enough, quiet enough, useful enough to matter. What were you thinking for design? She asked, defeat heavy in her voice. Rochelle's smile was triumphant. I'll send you the Pinterest board. 3 weeks later, Midnight. Linda sat on her bed surrounded by sketches and fabric swatches for Rochelle's cake. Her phone rang, the vibration making her jump. BS. Her heart leaped. They'd been talking for 2 months now. Calls that stretched past midnight, texts that made her smile during brutal family dinners, stolen meetings in parking lots and late-night diners. But they hadn't defined what this was. "Hi," she answered, unable to hide her smile. "You're awake." Bongso's voice was warm honey. "I thought you might be. Working on the wedding cake, it's..." She sighed. "It's a lot." "Are they paying you?" Silence. "Linda, it's complicated. It's exploitation." His tone sharpened like a blade being drawn. "You know this." "They're my family. Family doesn't treat people like unpaid labor." A pause, heavy with intention. "I want to see you." Her breath caught. "It's midnight." "I know, I'm outside." Linda rushed to the window. A black Mercedes idled at the curb, sleek and expensive, and completely out of place on this residential Missouri City street. "You're insane," she whispered into the phone, but she was already grabbing her jacket. They sat in the back seat of Bongso's Mercedes in an empty Target parking lot, dim light from street lamps casting shadows across his sharp features. He'd brought her favorite tea from the Vietnamese cafe near her bakery. He remembered everything. "You didn't have to come," Linda said, cradling the warm cup between her palms. "I wanted to." He turned toward her, one arm along the seat back. "I always want to see you." "Bongso, I know you're scared." His fingers brushed her shoulder, tentative, asking permission. "I know you think this is temporary, that I'll realize you're not worth the trouble." "I don't..." "Linda." He cupped her face gently, thumb stroking her cheek. "I've spent 2 months learning who you are. How you light up when you talk about flavor combinations. How you remember everyone's dietary restrictions. How you give and give until there's nothing left." His eyes burned into hers. "I see you. All of you. And I'm not going anywhere." Tears blurred her vision. "You don't understand what you're signing up for. My family will never touch you again if you don't want them to." His voice dropped, dangerous and protective. "Say the word, and I'll make sure of it." "What are you?" she whispered. "Someone who handles problems." His smile was slight, edged. "Someone with resources." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give right now." He leaned closer, his breath warm against her lips. "But I can promise you this. No one will hurt you while I'm here. Do you believe me?" She should be afraid. She should ask more questions about the men who followed him, the way people stepped aside when he entered rooms, the careful way he never fully explained his work. Instead, she closed the distance and kissed him, desperate and hungry, and full of every emotion she'd been holding back for months. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Stay with me tonight, just to sleep. I have guest rooms." "I can't. If my parents realize..." "Then soon." His jaw tightened. "Soon you won't have to answer to them." 3 weeks before the wedding, Linda stood on a platform in a bridal boutique while Rochelle, Dominique, and Claudette sat on a velvet sofa with champagne flutes, judging. "It doesn't zip," the seamstress said apologetically, tugging at the emerald fabric. "Linda, I told you to lose weight," Rochelle snapped. "I'm a size 18. I've been this size for 2 years. You ordered a 14. "Because I thought you'd be motivated." Dominique raised her phone, already filming. "This is going on my story. When your bridesmaid can't fit the dress." "Don't..." Linda reached for the phone, but Dominique danced away, laughing. Claudette sighed dramatically. "Linda, sweetheart, this is embarrassing for everyone. Can't you just try harder?" The seamstress cleared her throat. "I can let out the seams, add panels." "No," Rochelle said flatly. "It'll look cheap in photos. Linda, you'll just have to make it work." Linda changed in the bathroom, hands shaking so badly she could barely work the zipper. She texted Bongso, "Do you ever feel like you're drowning and everyone's just watching?" His response was immediate. "Every day before I built my own life. You'll build yours too. I'll help." "How? Trust me." 2 days before the wedding. Linda worked through the night in Sugar and Grace's kitchen, assembling 5 tiers of champagne cake with raspberry filling. She covered each tier in fondant she'd hand-marbled to look like real marble, a technique that had taken years to perfect. Sugar flowers she'd spent 40 hours crafting adorned each tier. Peonies and roses and ranunculus so realistic they looked plucked from a garden. It was breathtaking. It was worth $4,500. Rochelle arrived at 7 a.m. with Dominique, took 12 photos from different angles without asking permission, then said, "Cute, make sure it arrives on time." Not, "Thank you." Not, "This is beautiful." Not even acknowledgement of the artistry, the hours, the love Linda had poured into creating something perfect. Just logistics. After they left, Linda sat on the kitchen floor and cried. Her phone rang. Bongso. "I'm picking you up in an hour," he said without preamble. "I can't. I have to deliver." "Chol will handle it. I'm taking you somewhere." "Where?" "Somewhere you can breathe." The wedding day. Linda arrived at the Grandview estate at 6 a.m. with the cake secured in her van. A coordinator directed her to the service entrance. Vendors used the side door. "I'm the sister of the bride." "Oh." The woman's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Well, the bridal party is doing photos. You can wait in the hallway." Through the door, Linda heard laughter, popping champagne, squeals of joy. Rochelle's voice. "Get a shot of all of us with the mimosas." Linda wasn't invited in. She texted Bongso. "This was a mistake. I shouldn't have come." "Do you want me there?" "Not yet. I need to see this through. I'm 10 minutes away. Call me the second you need me." During the ceremony, Linda sat in the 3rd row. Not the first where family belonged. A cousin she hadn't seen in 5 years occupied the front row. Her parents sat front and center, Vernon walking Rochelle down the aisle with pride glowing on his face. Pride he'd never shown for Linda's accomplishments. During the reception entrance, the DJ's voice boomed. "Parents of the bride, Vernon and Claudette Smith." Applause. "Maid of honor, Dominique Smith." Cheers. And bridesmaid, Mia Jefferson. Linda wasn't announced. She'd been erased, edited out like a mistake. The coordinator shrugged when Linda asked. "Sorry, hun, must have been left off the list." Vernon gave a speech about how proud he was of Rochelle. Claudette talked about watching her daughter become a beautiful woman, about how blessed they were. Dominique's maid of honor speech included 12 inside jokes and 20 photos projected on screens, none including Linda. The groom's brother mentioned Rochelle's amazing family, and gestured to the head table where Linda's seat remained conspicuously empty. Linda sat at table 14 with distant relatives and her cousins plus ones who didn't know her name. The cake was displayed prominently, spotlit, perfect. No one mentioned who made it. Linda's phone buzzed. "Bongso, how are you holding up?" "I'm fine." "Linda, I'm at table 14. They put me with strangers." "Say the word." "Not yet." She needed them to see what they'd done. She needed herself to see it clearly, to stop making excuses, to finally understand that she would never be enough for people who didn't want to see her value. After the cake cutting, Rochelle and her groom feeding each other Linda's artistry without a single word of acknowledgement, the photographer called for family photos. "Smith family, let's gather." Linda started toward them. Claudette's hand shot out, gripping her wrist hard enough to bruise. "Not you," she hissed. Linda froze. "What?" "These are going on the website, social media. We need cohesive photos." Understanding crashed over her like ice water. "I'm your daughter." Vernon stepped closer, voice low and cruel. "Linda, don't make a scene. You know how you photograph. It's just better this way." The words hit like a physical blow. "How you photograph?" "Too fat. Too dark. Too much. Too wrong." Dominique was already posing, arm around Rochelle. The photographer snapped away, capturing the family Linda would never truly belong to. Linda backed away, vision blurring. She made it outside before the sobs came, great heaving gasps that tore from her chest. She was slumped on the parking barrier when her parents found her. "There you are," Claudette said, annoyed. "We need to talk." Vernon stood with arms crossed. "We're selling the house. You have 30 days to find a new place." Linda's head snapped up. "What?" "We're downsizing, moving to a condo. There's no room for you." You're evicting me? Now? At Rochelle's wedding?" "We're telling you now so you have time to plan," Claudette said reasonably. as if this was normal, as if they hadn't just destroyed her in front of 200 people. You're 28, Linda. You should have moved out years ago. I stayed because you asked me to. You said you needed help with bills. And we appreciated it, but it's time. Vernon's expression hardened. If you'd taken care of yourself, lost weight, found a real job, made yourself marriageable, maybe you'd have your own place by now. But you're still making cupcakes and wearing XXL dresses. I'm a size 18. I own a business. I had $140,000 in revenue. And how much did you keep? Claudette's voice was acid. You're barely scraping by, subsidizing a hobby while we've supported you. Supported me? I pay rent. I paid Dominique's car insurance for 6 months. I made a $4,500 cake for free. Family doesn't charge family, Vernon said coldly. The tears came hot and angry. Linda's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. Don't you dare cause drama at your sister's wedding, Claudette warned. Linda scrolled to Bongso's contact, pressed call. Vernon reached for the phone. Linda? She dodged. Leave me alone. Who are you calling? The line connected. Linda. Bongso's voice was sharp, alert, dangerous. What happened? Can you come get me? Her voice broke completely. Please, I can't, I need... I'm on my way. No questions. No hesitation. Just certainty. Don't move. I'll be there in 5 minutes. 3 black Mercedes sedans pulled into the Grandview Estate parking lot in formation, sleek and aggressive. Tires crunched on gravel. Car doors opened in synchronized precision. Bongso emerged from the center vehicle wearing all black, tailored slacks, a fitted shirt that cost more than Linda's monthly rent, and an expression that could cut glass. Behind him, 6 men in dark suits fanned out, moving with military precision. They were armed, shoulder holsters visible, professional and absolutely terrifying. Claudette's eyes widened. Vernon stepped back. Bongso walked straight to Linda, ignoring her parents entirely. He crouched in front of her, his hands gentle as they framed her face. Are you hurt? His voice was soft, but there was murder underneath. She shook her head, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Did they touch you? No, just... Her voice broke. Everything. They took everything. His jaw tightened. He helped her stand, one arm around her waist, supporting her weight. Then he turned to her parents. You must be Linda's family. His English was perfect, accent barely present, tone lethally polite. Who the hell are you? Vernon demanded. Bongso. I'm Linda's... He glanced at her, and something passed between them, an entire conversation in a single look. I'm hers. Claudette recovered first. This is a private event, and yet you left your daughter crying in a parking lot. Bongso's smile didn't reach his eyes. Interesting priorities. Music from the reception drifted through open doors. Guests were starting to notice the commotion, gathering in the entrance with phones raised. You need to leave, Vernon said, puffing up. No? Bongso's voice dropped, dangerous and absolute. You need to listen. What's going on? Rochelle demanded, still in her wedding gown, Dominique and the groom trailing behind her. A dozen guests had emerged, phones already recording. Linda, what did you do? She did nothing, Bongso said, not looking away from Vernon and Claudette. But you've done plenty. His men had positioned themselves strategically, blocking exits, ensuring no one interfered. One held a tablet, another a professional camera. You charged your daughter rent while exploiting her labor, Bongso continued, voice carrying across the lot with perfect clarity. You demanded a $4,500 wedding cake for free. You excluded her from family photos because of her body. You evicted her at her sister's wedding. Gasps rippled through the gathered crowd. Rochelle's face paled. That's family business, Claudette started. It's abuse, Bongso interrupted. And you did it publicly, at a wedding with 200 guests. So let's make this public too. He nodded to the man with the tablet. Post it. Post what? Vernon demanded. Everything Linda told me. Every text message where your daughters mocked her weight. Every voicemail where you criticized her career. Every receipt showing she paid your bills while you charged her market rate rent. His smile was sharp as broken glass. I believe in documentation. Dominique lunged for her phone. You can't. I already did. Bongso's tone was almost bored. It's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Your influencer friends are probably seeing it right now, Dominique. You're insane, Rochelle shrieked. You're ruining my wedding. No, Bongso said quietly, dangerously. You ruined Linda's life. I'm just making sure everyone knows. He turned to Linda, voice softening. You don't owe them anything. Not explanations, not labor, not love, do you understand? Linda looked at her family, at her mother's horror, her father's rage, her sister's panic, at the guests filming on their phones, at the reality she'd spent 28 years denying finally crystallizing into truth. And she found her voice. I'm done, she said, clear and strong despite her tears. I'm done trying to earn love from people who only see me as useful when I'm serving them. I'm done shrinking myself to make you comfortable. I'm done apologizing for taking up space. Linda, Claudette reached for her. No. Linda stepped back into Bongso's solid warmth. You told me I wasn't good enough to be in family photos. You're right. I'm not good enough for this family. But that's not my failure. It's yours. She looked at Rochelle. Your cake was beautiful. I hope you enjoyed it. That's the last thing I'll ever make for you. To Dominique, delete my number. To her parents, I'll be out of the house in 3 days. You'll never have to be embarrassed by me again. Vernon's face purpled. If you leave with this man, then I leave, Linda said simply, and I'll finally be free. Bongso guided Linda toward the center Mercedes. One of his men opened the door, a soldier's precision in the gesture. Before she got in, Linda turned back one last time. Her family stood in a tight cluster, surrounded by shocked guests and glowing phone screens. Rochelle was crying angry tears. Claudette looked devastated, not because she'd hurt Linda, but because she'd been exposed. Vernon was already arguing with someone, trying to do damage control. They looked small, powerless, human. For the first time in Linda's life, she didn't feel sorry for them. Ready? Bongso asked softly. She nodded. The car was luxury incarnate. Leather seats, ambient lighting, complete silence once the door closed. The world outside became muffled, distant, irrelevant. Bongso didn't speak. He took her hand, thumb stroking circles on her palm, and let her process. As they pulled away from the Grandview estate, Linda watched her family shrink in the rearview mirror until they disappeared entirely. Where are we going? She finally asked. My place, unless you want to go somewhere else. No. She squeezed his hand. Your place is perfect. He lifted her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles. You were so brave. I was terrified. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. He met her eyes. You're free now, Linda. No more conditional love. No more earning what should have been freely given. The tears came again, but different this time. Cleaner. Releasing decades of toxic weight. Thank you, she whispered. Always, he promised. I'll always come get you. 3 weeks later, Linda woke in Egyptian cotton sheets, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Houston's skyline. The bedroom was twice the size of her old room, and the closet was full of clothes in her actual size. Beautiful clothes. Expensive clothes. Clothes Bongso had commissioned from designers who specialized in plus-size luxury. She padded to the kitchen in silk pajamas and found Bongso making coffee, shirtless, dangerous tattoos visible across his shoulders and back. Morning, he said, smiling soft in a way he only did for her. On the counter sat a magazine. Houston Eats. Linda's face graced the cover alongside her viral blackberry lavender tart. The headline read, Sugar and Grace, the pastry chef breaking barriers and building an empire. Her phone, new number, only contacts she'd chosen, sat silent. She'd blocked her family the day after the wedding. They'd tried to reach her through social media, accounts now private. Through the bakery, Chul handled all screening. Through mutual friends, who'd been politely told to mind their business. She felt lighter than she had in her entire life. You okay? Bongso asked, sliding coffee across the counter. Linda picked up the magazine, studied her own smile. Genuine for the first time in years. Yeah, she said, and meant it with her entire soul. I really am. He walked around the counter, pulled her into his arms. Good, because I'm taking you to meet my family next week. Her heart skipped. Your family? My real family. Not blood. The people I chose. He kissed her forehead. They'll love you. How could they not? Linda melted into him, finally understanding the difference between being tolerated and being treasured, between earning love and receiving it freely, between surviving and actually living. This was what love felt like. Unconditional, safe, chosen. She was never going back. If this story hit home, if it reminded you that you can leave people who diminish you, that the right person will love you without conditions, then subscribe and turn on notifications. Because I'll keep telling stories where women, irrespective of body size or color, are cherished, protected, and loved fiercely. Stories where they don't have to earn what should be freely given. Drop a comment. Would you have made that call? Or would you have kept sacrificing yourself for people who never valued you? Let's discuss.